to my channel, or indeed welcome back. Today I have a project of the week for you, and this is going to be for a twist and pop card, which is a type of kinetic card, and it's quite easy to make. And of course, once you have all the basics down, you can save this as a file, and then you can create this card over and over and over again. So let's get right to it, shall we? To be making a twist and pop card today. This is a popular style of kinetic card, and it features a hidden mechanism, which is the twist and pop portion, and then you have this panel then which attaches to it and then pops up from the inside of the card. If I just zoom in to this example here, you can see that hidden mechanism behind this pop panel, and you can see a bit of it here in this example as well. But as you see, when you open the card up, as you can see here in this Father's Day twist and pop card, then once you open it, then this panel will begin to expand and pop open. This is a card that you can use for any occasion. It will change according to your choice of decoration. So it makes a very versatile and fun card to make. So let's get started, first of all, by removing these images from the board. And I'm going to start with a square. This is going to be for the mechanism. Now, this card could be any size you like. You could do it as I'm going to do, as a 6x6, a 5x5, a US A2, a 5x7 UK card, any size that you want. You just adjust the measurements to suit. Now, as I said, I'm going to make a pop-up card, or a twist and pop card, for a 6x6 card, which means that the base is going to be 6x12. But I'll also give you some dimensions for other sizes and some ways that you can make those changes quite easily. So, as I said, we'll start with a square. We're going to go over to a maintain aspect ratio and check that off so that we can change the width to 8 inches. And the height is going to be 3.5 inches. Oops, need to change that back again. There we go, 3.5 inches. Now I'm going to just give this a little bit of color so it's a little easier to see. Maybe a bright yellow would be good. Now, I'm going to start with a score line here, and I'll just zoom in a bit so you can see what I'm doing. And I'm going to use my path tool, holding down the shift key. I'm going to draw a score line right through the middle of this. So it's about 8 inches. That's really close enough for a score line. And I want to change that from a solid cut line to a score line. I'm going to choose one that's fairly small so that there's no chance of it actually cutting through the card. I just need it to score it. So what I need to do is put it in the middle, which is going to be 1 3/4 inches. So I can just go to the alignment tool and align it centrally and horizontally there, or in the middle there. So that is our first score line. Our next score line is going to be a set of diagonal lines. And to do that, I'm just going to go anywhere here. I'm going to start a line. Then I'll go back to the width. I'm going to change this to 3.5 inches because it needs to be the size of, or the width of the card, or the rectangle, which is 3.5 inches. So 3.5 inches by 3.5 inches. Then I will make sure I've got that as a score line as well. And then rather than draw that again, I'll just duplicate it. And I can use the flip horizontal function to make the X. Select both of those, align them, and then you can group them. We're going to just place all of these together. So just select everything, and again, align them. And what you will find is this is going to be, it should be around 2.25 inches. So I can double check that. So that's how far in it's going to be. So if I just draw that there, you'll see that 2.25 inches. It's pretty spot on there. So it's 2.25 inches in from the left, 2.25 inches in from the right. And this is going to form the sort of little house. It looks like a little house with a peaked roof that is going to provide that twist and pop. So now all we have to do is we can group this, and that is our mechanism complete. Now I'm going to show you an alternative to this as well. It's just a minor change, and it's something that is optional. We saw it in the photograph of one of the pop-up cards where a bit of the corners have been chopped out. I think they chopped out this corner and this corner. That is just to ensure that it is completely hidden, and also that it doesn't extend beyond the card base. So to do that, I'll show you. I'm going to duplicate it. Let me go ahead and duplicate the whole thing there. All right. And I'll bring it down here. So all we need to do is take a piece out of this corner and a piece out of this corner, and it doesn't have to be absolutely precise. You could use a triangle to do that. So we might bring in something like this. I'll spin that round. We can just take a little bit of that corner out. What we need to do is select the rectangle. So I'm going to ungroup this so that I can do that. So I'm going to select that yellow rectangle and the triangle. Go to Process, Overlap, and Subtract. So that's cut that out of there. The score lines are still there, they're just behind. Another way you can do this would be to just draw in with your path tool, sort of triangle shape here, like that. Select it along with your rectangle and subtract. When you send that to the back, you'll see that your score lines are there. And as I said, it doesn't have to be perfect. You can see that one's a little more cut out than the other. If you're not happy with that, you can move that down a bit. And then send that to the back again and group it, and you have your second version of the mechanism. but either will work really. It really doesn't matter. Just up to you, whatever your preference is. Okay, now we need to make the actual pop-up panel, which is where most of your decoration is going to be. Now this, again, we need a square, and we're going to change this to 11 inches in width. So we go here and change that to 11, and the height is going to be 3 3/4 inches. Just give it some color, and we have the rectangle that we need to put our score lines in. Now, to make this a little easier, what I'm going to do is just move this out of the way. I'm going to place this up here in the corner, and I'm going to use 0 for the values of the X and the Y positions. And I'm going to lock that in place so that it doesn't move while I put these score lines in. Just zoom in a bit for you. We'll start with the first score line, which is going to be around here. So I've put my first score line, and I'm going to change that to a dash pattern as well. And then I can use the X and Y to place it at 2 3/4 of an inch. So we need a total of 4 panels. So we're going to duplicate this, and we'll place it at 5 1/2. Then we'll duplicate it again, and change that to 8 1/4. Just group all those together and align them at the top or the bottom, that's fine. And then we can unlock the rectangle, just here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to group all these together, and we have our pop panel, which then we can add layers. Now, you don't have to add these layers if you don't want to. Perhaps you want to just put a sentiment or flowers or butterflies or whatever you like in here. But if you want to have a matte layer, just make that 1/4 of an inch smaller than the width and height of your panel here. So I would just come in with a square again and go to the edit function and change it to 2.5 by 3.5, and then that will fit perfectly inside there, leaving a slight border behind, like so. And then if you want 4 panels, then of course you would just make duplicates, or if you want 3 or 2, however you want to do it, it's up to you. These will fit in here. Now, if you also want to matte and layer the front of the card, the inside, and maybe even perhaps the back. Sometimes I will use the back of the card for a place to put a message, in which case I'd cut out some white paper or white card and place that on the back. Now for this card, since it's going to be 6 by 6, that means my matte layer is going to be 5 3/4. So I'll put the aspect ratio back on. And that is the size that I will need. You could make that a different shape. You could have a circle, you could have an oval, you could do whatever you like. But if you just want a straight matte layer, then you would make it 5 3/4 inches square. So that when you brought your card base in, for this one for example, which is going to be a 6 by 12, and you want to open it from the top, so it will pop a lot better. You don't want to really open it from the side. So what I would do is change this to 12 inches by 6 inches. Actually, I'll do it the other way around, 6 by 12, and then it'll be in the right orientation. So that will fit here on the inside at the top, and if you want one at the bottom, you've got room here. And then on the front of the card, where it's going to just be 6 by 6, you'll see that it also fits nicely there. It gives you that nice little border. Or if you want to add a mat, you could make your mat this size, like a black mat, and then add another panel, in which case I would change this to, let's just duplicate that. I'll change that to black, show you what that would look like. And then this, I would step it down to 5.5. So that when you glue it all together, you would have something like that. That helps it to really pop off the front of your card. So that is for the 6 by 6 card. Now I'm going to show you another size, which is a 5 by 5. For that, we could go back and make all the different calculations. However, I've got a bit of a shortcut for you. And for that, what I'm going to do is bring all the pieces in here for you. I'm going to group them. I'm just going to make a copy so I can go back to that later. And now I need to resize this. So all I need to do is select all of the elements and go to resize. And I can resize them all together. So to fit into a 5 by 5 card, which would be 5 by 10 card base, if I just reduce this to 95%, you can see that now this mechanism is reduced to 7.6, which is a good size, that's fine. And the panel is 10.45. You can leave these as they are, or you can go back and change your layers if you like. So I would make a layer that is, for this 5, I would change that to 4.75. Actually, no, let's go back and put that at 5 by 5, because that is the card base. then I would change these. I either leave them as they are or just go back and change them to 5.5, and this one to 5.25. Then you can see again how those are going to line up. So that's just a quick way around if you want a 5 by 5. Now, if you want to do something like an A2 card, which is a US card, then you just need to account for the height and the width. So those are, if I recollect correctly, I think they're 4.25 inches by 5.5, I think. So what I would do is this mechanism needs to be changed to 8 by 3.5. The panel needs to be changed to 10 by 3.5. And then each of these will then be let's go back, 2.25 by 3.25. So that should be like so. That will fit in there nicely like that. So 2.25 by 3.25. You have that little border all right the way round. So those measurements will work for your A2 card, and then again for your panels, you'll just reduce those by 1/4 inch. And as I said, I think it's, let's see if I bring this in here, I think that's 4.25 by 5.5 it's either 5 or 5.5, I'm afraid. I'll have to look that up, just one moment. Okay, I've checked and it is 4.25 by 5.5. So if we have the card base at 4.25 by 5.5 inches in height, then I would change my matting to 4 by 5.25. So it goes in here like this. And then if you wanted this piece as well, since this is 4 inches, then this would be 3.75 by 5 inches. And then your inside mats would be the same size as you have here in black. So I hope that helps you out a bit. That's at least 3 different sizes, and then you can just play around with it however you like. So if you decide, well, I want my mechanism to be 8.25, all you have to do is click on, make sure you've grouped it all together, and then you can change it all at one time. So what I'm going to do though is I'm just going to move those over. We'll bring this back in so that now I'm going to send this to my machine to cut it out, and I'll show you how I'm going to decorate it. I've cut out all the pieces, and just to save a bit of time, I've gone ahead and decorated the card base as well as the panel that is going to go in the middle, and it's the piece that's going to pop up. But I've got my mechanism here, and I've got the one with the sides cut out as well as the straight rectangular one. I think I'm going to go ahead and use this, and I'll show you how you prepare this. Now you've got these score lines here. You've got this one down the middle. You want to fold that, and you want to burnish it. You also need to fold and burnish these diagonal lines. So, got one there, and then you have one here. Right, so you have this X with this straight line going right through the middle there. What you want to do is start to push this in, and you'll sort of make this a valley fold, so it goes down. And you squeeze on this side as well, and as you do, you'll see that it forms what looks like a little house with this peaked roof. So you just need to press that down, flatten it out, and this is your pop-up mechanism. As I said, I've already got the card base prepared. This is a 6x6, so it's cut from a piece of 12-inch cardstock, which I just cut down the middle so I can actually get 2 cards out of one sheet. I've gone ahead and matted it, and my little secret is that this mat that is behind actually has the middle of it cut out so that I can use that for something else. I'm saving on cardstock, and I'm also cutting down on the weight of the card. But it still gives that nice little mat around the edge there, helps it to pop a bit more. And then I've got my layer panel on there as well, and then some decoration. On the inside, I've done the same. I've got these 2 panels here. I kept it very simple, just put those on there, and then if I want to add any other decoration later, I can do that. You don't have to have it as a square. If you don't want to, you could change the shapes of these. You could have ovals, you could have circles, diamonds, whatever, pyramids, whatever you want, triangles, doesn't matter. So my panel is ready as well. I've got all my layers on here, and then I've topped that off with some embellishments, which I've put on with foam squares, the same as I did here. It gives it that dimension. So the first thing we need to do is to attach our panel to our pop-up. Now, to be sure that you place your adhesive correctly, you want to be sure you don't go above the midpoint here. So if you come up about between 1 1/8 and 1 1/4 inches, I'm just going to go 1 1/4, and if I just put a little tick mark there, that's my guide. I can even go across here as to how far up I can go with my adhesive. Now I'm going to use red liner tape because I think it's just a little easier for these type of pop-ups. It's good strong adhesive, and then you don't have to mess around with the glue and maybe even stray off of your line there. So what you want to do is to place your adhesive here in this right hand corner. Then what you're going to do is turn it over, and you're going to do the same here. So you can just measure up again
going to put our adhesive on. Now you can use other strong adhesive tape as well as the red liner. So you have, if you have some double-sided tape that you like, go ahead and use that. I'm going to use this. It's very strong. So I'm going to put, I think I'm going to use 3 strips of this. So I'll just go ahead and cut enough for that. One in the middle. And one here. So I want to press down on that so that it's adhered really well, and then I'll repeat the same on this side. Adhesive on. What you're going to do is you're going to take your panel, and as I said, it's like a concertina. So you've done a valley fold, a mountain fold, another valley fold, and with this peak here in your hand, like so, you want to turn it on its side like so, and you're going to adhere it. And you want to kind of have equal distance on your pop-up, so you'll be able to see the overhang there. You can just eyeball that. So remove the backing off of this red liner tape. That exposes the adhesive beneath it. Take your panel and just gently lie it down, but before you press it into place, just check that it's fairly even. Just catch that before it. I'm just going to flip it over. I'm going to remove these pieces as well. Now you have your mechanism. It's going to open that little surprise in the middle, so I'm just going to press that down. So you've got these edges here are clear of the mechanism, the one here at the top and the one here at the bottom. You've got do the same with the one with the corners cut out. Except what I would do then is just put my adhesive on the left side rather than on the right side, so that your adhesive goes here on the straight edge, and then these corners are cut out just to minimize any edges sticking out. You can also go in, if you like now, and cut those off if you didn't actually print out or cut out the one with the corners already removed. So now we're ready to put this inside of our card base. Right, so we're going to take this back to the house shape, and what we're going to do is place it in the center here. Now we know this is 6 inches, so what we can do is just with a little pencil mark here, you can just put a little tick mark in there as to where you want to position it, or you can of course just do this by eye and it will work as well. So I'm going to put this here. It's going to go right up into that fold. Now again, you can use the red liner tape, or you can use adhesive. I've got some liquid adhesive here, so I think I might try that, and then we'll give it a chance to dry. Now it doesn't matter which side you put on first, because what you're going to do, I'm using this collage glue because it really dries almost cement hard. I believe it's like a Beacon glue. I think Beacon is the other brand that's very similar to this. So I'm just going to use that pencil mark as my guide. I've slide it up till it touches that fold, and then I can fold this down. Now you'll probably do your decoration afterwards, so it will be a bit easier to actually go in here and press that down because it'll be flat. But as I said, I just wanted to save a little bit of time on this video and go ahead and decorate everything. And you want to flip it over and apply your adhesive to the other side of that peak. Right, this has had time to dry now, and we're ready to reveal our twist and pop. And there you have it. And it works very smoothly. And here is where, if you want to, you could take this piece off if you like. I think it's just fine as it is. And I've got a few more little embellishments I'm going to add. I'm just going to add this with some glue rather than foam squares, because I think it's getting a bit bulky. So there is our completed card. I hope you'll give this a try, and I think you'll agree with me that it was very simple to do, but it makes a very lovely interactive or fun card, kinetic card, whatever you want to call it, that can be decorated for any occasion. And as I said at the beginning, once you've made this file, you have your mechanism and your panel and all your other layers in a file, then you can just pull that up anytime you like, and you can change the dimensions however you like. So if you want to make an A2 card, like most greeting cards are in the States, or you put a 5x7, a 5x5, even a 4x4, whatever size you wanted, then you can just simply group all your elements and reduce them to what size you want. Thank you so much for joining me today for this ScanNCut Canvas Workspace project of the week, and I'll be back hopefully next week with another project. So until then, please take care. Be sure you're subscribed if you're not, and if you liked this, leave me a thumbs up. I can't wait to see you again very soon. Bye for now. Bye.